Workforce Education and Development 105, assignment number 8, Rebecca Haywood. Our program is Carpentry Layout. Our course title is Basics of Carpentry Layout. Our unit of instruction is Builder's Level in Transit. Today we're going to learn how to properly set up a Builder's Level in Transit. We're going to need about an hour to complete this course today. Of that hour, 10 to 15 minutes of it will be through my demonstration here. And equipment that we'll need to use today. So we have our tripod legs, we have our builder's level, we have a plumb bob, our transit, we have some pencils, and we have our torpedo level. So, welcome. Today we are going to learn how to efficiently and effectively set up a builder's level and transit. These two pieces of equipment are huge for carpenters on site. With the builder's level, you can determine level lines. With the transit, you can determine angles. So when you're setting up footings, or if you're framing a house, these are two great tools to know how to set up properly. So our performance objective today is students will be given the builder's level and the set of tripod legs. You will need to set them up properly with the bullseye bubble perfectly in the center of the circular lines. And you will be given 2 minutes for this task. Do we have any questions before we begin here today?
How high do you set the tripod legs?
That's a great question. So we're going to go over that a little bit more later on. But when you're setting up your tripod legs, you want to make sure that you have enough room for the equipment to stand on top. Now a builder's level is typically 4 inches high. That's 100 mils, 4 fingers. So you want to keep your tripod legs around your shoulder height. That's a nice comfortable height to set them up at. And you can move your body up and down to accompany that. So we'll begin. First we have our tripod legs. We always keep them clasped for easy transportation. You'll notice that there's 3 legs, tripod, 3 legs. So we're gonna loosen the legs. Now before we set up our legs, it's always nice to make sure that there's no traffic on site, there's no one nearby, our area is nice and clean, which it is here today. So you're gonna lift it up, you're gonna lock the legs, and we're going to move them out. Now, again, close to shoulder height is good. So we're nice and clear, no one's around. So, we'll grab our little torpedo level, we'll put it on top here, and this is where we can do our fine tuning to make sure that it's a nice even base for our builder's level to sit on top of. So we'll turn it this way. All right, so we'll just lift, push the legs down, and it's tightened there. Now this is a little lower than I'm accustomed to, but I think that'll work for today. So we don't need our torpedo level anymore. And before we pull out our builder's level, again, we want to make sure no one's around, the area is clear, and we'll place it on top. To secure our builder's level on top of our tripod legs, there's a screw underneath. So we'll just tighten it until it's secure. Perfect. Now you'll notice it can swivel. There's an eyepiece to look through, and we have our bullseye bubble right here. And in order to see our bullseye bubble perfectly, they've given us a little mirror to look through. So I'll turn it for myself to see through. So we look through, and you can use the fine-tuning adjustments to bring it to the center. So bring it in the center here. Perfect. So I'm centered, I'm perfect in my bullseye bubble here, but if I rotate this direction, it might not be. So let me check again. We want to make sure that it's perfect. Little fine tuning. Great, it's perfect. So for our performance objective today, this in 2 minutes is a pass. This is what I'm looking for today. But we're also going to learn about the transit and how to set it up properly as well. So again, when we're taking our machine down, we loosen, we look around, make sure no traffic, no one is around, we remove, and we place it back in its box. Perfect. So for the transit, the setup is a little bit different, okay? So we'll need to use a plumb bob. Now, a plumb bob is kind of an old school method to work with. Now we use levels, we use lasers, but a plumb bob is always a great option. So, for a transit, we have a point on the ground that we need to set up on, and our plumb bob will help us get there. So, we'll put our little plumb bob in the center of our tripod legs, directly over the point on the ground. That it's the correct height, that there's still a gap underneath the plumb bob below. Perfect. Okay, so our point is here. We're going to use our plumb bob, get it close. A little bit more adjusting here. Perfect. We're directly over. We can move our tripod legs to be perfect. Once it stops moving, perfect. We're directly over our point, our plumb bob, we've used it. Can remove it here. So now, before we bring out our transit, we look around, make sure there's no traffic, and we'll place it on top of our tripod legs. When we're putting a transit on top, we like to keep our fine-tuning adjustment opposite of our legs. So, always holding on top, make sure we're holding onto it, and we'll tighten underneath. Perfect. So, we'll adjust our bubble using the fine-tuning screws. We're perfect in center here, and if we were doing a builder's level, this would be a great setup. But the transit is a little bit different. The transit, we need to be perfectly over top of our point below. So we will look through our eyepiece and see that, we're off our point on the ground a little bit. So we use the fine tuning to bring ourselves over top of the point. When we do that, we are no longer in the center of our bullseye. In order to bring ourselves center of the bullseye, we use the legs. When we're setting up with a transit, we like to just use 2 legs. That keeps it from rotating around. Unless you need to move it a great distance, try and stick to 2 legs. So, I'll loosen, lift. We're in the bubble there. Lift it up a little bit here. Perfect. Now I'll look through again. Okay, a little bit more fine tuning. Okay, great. So perfect, a little bit more adjusting. That's good. Perfect. So now our bubble is perfect. We are directly over our point on the ground, and we're completely set up. Does anyone have any questions?
What if the sun is in your eyes?
Perfect. If the sun is in your eyes, especially for the builder's level, you want to protect it. So you can use your hand to block the sun wherever it is. Just try and block it as much as you can. Any other questions?
What if you wear glasses?
Really good. If you're wearing glasses and doing the transit and trying to set up over the point, you can just fold your glasses, put them to the side, and look through without your glasses. The wonderful part of the transit and the builder's level is that there's adjustment tools on here. So whether you have different prescription of glasses or you have 20/20 vision, you can use the adjustment to see properly. Does anyone have any more questions? Okay, perfect. So I'll just go over a little summary and then we'll do our evaluation, okay? So our summary. In summary, always assess the location of setup prior to placing tripod legs and instrument. Set up tripod legs at a comfortable height for yourself. Check your bubble often to ensure accuracy. When setting up the transit, utilize the legs and the fine tuning and set them different from the legs below. Try to stick to 2 legs to lengthen and shorten during transit setup. So now we'll get into the evaluation. Again, our evaluation is you are given 2 minutes to set up the builder's level on the tripod legs with the bullseye bubble perfectly in the center. Thank you so much.